40 years of standing shoulder to shoulder, side by side, fighting for democracy in our country and bringing back the central focus on the working class. It's my pleasure, my privilege on behalf of our union to introduce our brother, Senator from the state of Vermont, and the next President of the United States, Bernie Sanders.
Brothers and sisters, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Let me thank Peter and Jean and Andrew and Carl and the 35,000 members of the United Electrical, Radio, and Machine Workers of America for everything you are doing now and for all that you have done in your history. I am more than aware of what the UE has stood for from its inception. The UE has been one of the most progressive unions in this country. You have stood up for working people all over America. You have taken on the most powerful special interest in this country, and every worker in America is thankful for all that you have done. Thank you, UE. And let me also say it is an honor to be here, because if there was ever a time in the history of this country when the working class of America had to stand up and tell the corporate elite that this country belongs to all of us and not just the 1%, this is that moment. I was asked literally just the other day, I was doing an interview with a reporter, and she said, what is it, that kind of motivates you? How did you come to the political views that you have? And I thought hard, because it's hard for any of us to know really what are the forces in our lives that shape us. But this I do know. I grew up in a 3.5-room rent-controlled apartment in Brooklyn, New York. And my family, we were never poor, but we never had a whole lot of money. And the struggles that my parents went through, and the tension within our family for not having enough money, and the fact that my mother dreamed that one day we would move out of that rent-controlled apartment and get into a home of our own. It was always there, and she never lived long enough to see it. It didn't happen. But what my family experienced, what your families are experiencing, what millions of families are experiencing today, is the struggle to live in dignity, the struggle to put food on the table, the struggle to know that when you get old, you can retire with a shred of respect. The struggle to know that if you get sick, health care will be there for you, and you can afford prescription drugs. What the UE is about, what our campaign is about, is saying that in the wealthiest country in the history of the world, we can have a nation where all of our people live with security and dignity. We can have a nation which does not have a huge gap between the very rich and everybody else, where income and wealth inequality is growing, where 3 people own more wealth than the bottom half of America. And what the UE says and what I say is that is not acceptable. We will create an economy and a government that work for all of us. We are not talking about pie in the sky. We're not talking about utopia. We're simply talking about a nation where people live with dignity and security, and that is something we will achieve together. And before I get into the thrust of my remarks, I want to say this as well. I see my role as President of the United States, not somebody who says, well, we got the unions here, we got corporations here, let's sit down and negotiate. I see my job as President of the United States to stand with the working class of this country. And to end the 45-year-old corporate war against working people in this country. If there is going to be class struggle in the United States, it's time that the working class got on the offensive and won that struggle. Let me begin by congratulating UE Local 506. UE Local 618. And all of you who are involved in the historic and successful strike against the greed of the executives at Wabtec in Erie, Pennsylvania. Wabtec wanted to rip up your union contract after it merged with GE and forced workers to work 12-hour shifts without overtime pay, forced employees to work on holidays and weekends, and replace full-time workers with low-paid temporary workers, all while, and this is what is going on in America from coast to coast, all the while, it gave $120 million in bonuses to the executives at Wabtec and GE. That is what's going on all over America. The war against working people, concession, 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 and huge bonuses for the CEOs. And you said no. You stood up and you fought back. Congratulations. Your victory is not only a win for the workers at Wabtec, but for workers all across this country who are sick and tired of seeing their standard of living decline, sick and tired of givebacks on health care, give back on wages as a result of corporate greed. And our message today to the CEOs of these large corporations who make 200 and 300 times what their workers make. These CEOs who say you're going to have to give back, big give back, while the rich become richer. Our message to say is that mentality is going to end, and it's going to end in the very near future. I know that I do not have to tell anyone in this room that over the last 40 years, the middle class of this country has been in decline, and we have seen a massive transfer of wealth from working families to the top 1%. Now that's something you don't read about in the papers, you won't see on television very much. But that is the reality that most working people understand. Today, at a time when millions of our fellow Americans are working 2 or 3 jobs to feed their families, the 3 wealthiest people in this country own more wealth than the bottom half of American society. Where is the outrage? This is called oligarchy, not democracy. We do not accept it. Today, at a when over 500,000 Americans are sleeping out on the streets tonight, or sleeping in emergency shelters, the top 1% of American society now owns more wealth than the bottom 92%. Now, most candidates, and certainly the corporate media, does not talk about the grotesque level of income and wealth inequality in this country. As the President of the United States, I not only will talk about it, we are going to do something about it. Today, over half of the people in our country are living paycheck to paycheck and are living under enormous stress. I grew up in a family that lived paycheck to paycheck, and you all know what that means. What that means, if your car breaks down and you need a $500 repair, and you don't have that $500, you can't get to work. And if you can't get to work, you get fired. And if you get fired, you can't take care of your kids and pay the rent. That's half of the people in this country scared to death that somebody in the family becomes ill. This is the richest country in the history of the world. Half of our people should not have to live under that kind of stress. We are going to create an economy. We are going to create an economy that works for working families, not just corporate CEOs. Meanwhile, and here's the point to be made, while the middle class struggles, while 40 million people live in poverty, while 500,000 people sleep out on the streets, the very wealthiest people in this country are richer than they have ever been before, and large corporations are enjoying record-breaking profits. Today, the United States has more income and wealth inequality than almost any other major country on earth, and it is worse here than at any time since the 1920s. And I want all of you to hear this. It doesn't get reported widely, but it comes from the Federal Reserve. And this is what is going on in America today. Over the last 30 years, the top 1% in America have seen a $21 trillion increase in their wealth. You got that? Over a 30-year period, top 1% have seen a $21 trillion increase in their wealth, while the bottom half, 50% of American society, has lost $900 billion in wealth. Got that? Bottom half lost $900 billion, top 1% saw a $21 trillion increase in their wealth. In other words, there has been an enormous transfer of wealth from those who have too little to those who have too much. And let me tell you that having traveled this country, there is growing disgust on the part of ordinary Americans at the corporate greed that we see. You experienced it at Wabtec, and right now at AT&T, they're experiencing it as well. CWA is experiencing it. And what people are saying, how much do these people want? What can you do? Why do you need billions and billions more? And then come back to tell Congress they got to cut Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid. That greed is an illness. It is an addiction. And if the corporate CEOs don't get the treatment that they need, we will provide the treatment for them. Sick and tired of large, profitable corporations shutting their plants down in the United States, even when they are profitable, throwing American workers out on the streets as they move to Mexico, China, and other low-wage countries. The American people want fair trade policies that work for workers, that work for farmers, not unfettered free trade that benefit the wealthy and CEOs of large corporations. American people are sick and tired of corporate CEOs who now make almost 300 times more than their average employees. Can you believe that? And then they want givebacks, they want concessions from the workers as they get these outrageous bonuses. The American people want corporations to invest in their employees, not just dividends, stock buybacks, and outrageous compensation packages for their executives. The American people are sick and tired of an economy in which they are forced to pay over 20% interest rates on their credit cards while Wall Street makes record-breaking profits. The American people are sick and tired of paying, by far, the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Some of you may have heard that 3 weeks ago, I took a trip to Canada with folks from the Midwest who are diabetic, who need insulin to stay alive. We went to Windsor, Ontario from Detroit, Michigan. We bought insulin there, the same exact product, for 1/10 the price sold here in the United States. 1 out of 5 Americans cannot afford the prescription drugs their doctors write. The prescriptions their doctors write. And last year, the pharmaceutical industry made $69 billion in profit. American people are sick and tired of a healthcare system which is wasteful, bureaucratic, and dysfunctional. They are sick and tired of a system in which 87 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured, and we remain the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people as a human right. So let me be as clear as I can be. Health care is a human right, not a privilege. We will join the rest of the industrial revolution. Brothers and sisters, it goes without saying that together we must and will do everything we can to defeat the most dangerous president in the history of this country. And we will defeat Trump and defeat him badly because we will expose him for the fraud and pathological liar that he is. All of you here in Pennsylvania and all over the country, people remember what Trump said on the campaign trail when he was running for president. Trump told the American people that he was going to be a champion of the working class. Remember that? Well, that is just one of the many thousands of lies that he has told. He told the American people that he would provide health care to everybody. Remember that? Well, you don't provide health care to everybody by trying to throw 32 million people off the health care they currently have. Trump said that he was a different type of Republican, that he would not cut Medicaid or Medicare or Social Security. Well, that was another lie. If you look at his last budget, he proposed a $1.5 trillion cut to Medicaid, an $845 billion cut to Medicare, and tens of billions of dollars in cuts to Social Security. Trump said that his tax bill would not benefit the wealthy. You remember that? Hey, Trump said, I'm a billionaire. We're not gonna pass a tax bill that will benefit the rich. Well, he lied again. As all of you know, as the American people know, Trump's tax bill provided 83% of the benefits to the top 1% over a 10-year period. When he ran for president, Trump said he would stand up to Wall Street and drain the swamp. Well, it turns out that Trump has brought more billionaires and Wall Street executives into his administration than any president in history. Let me talk about something that we do not talk about very much in Congress or in the media, and that is the retirement crisis facing millions of workers today. And here is the bottom line. This is rather extraordinary, but it's true. In America today, about half of our people who are 55 or older have no retirement savings. Got it? Now think about it. You're 58 years old, you're 60 years of age, your working life is coming to an end. You got nothing in the bank for retirement. 1 out of every 3 senior citizens in America rely on Social Security for virtually all of their income. 20% of seniors are trying to survive on an income of $13,500 a year or less. Think about that. Think about being 80, 90 years of age, trying to get by on $13,000, $14,000 a year, trying to keep your house warm, trying to eat, trying to pay for the medicine that you need. Now here is something that I hope all of you hear. And that is just a few days ago, it was reported that Donald Trump has instructed his staff to prepare, and I quote, for sweeping budget cuts as part of a second-term project that will likely include major cuts to Social Security. Well, let me be as clear as I can be to Donald Trump. First of all, you are not going to win a second term. Well, Mr. Trump can save his staff a whole lot of time. You don't have to prepare cuts for Social Security or for anything else, because you ain't going to be around to implement those cuts. And what our job, when we talk about the needs of older workers and when we talk about the needs of Social Security, we ain't going to cut Social Security. We're going to expand Social Security benefits. Furthermore, we have got to do more than that, as we appreciate that we are living in a nation where people are getting older and more of our people are older. We have also got to protect and expand the defined benefit pension benefits of the American worker. And when I am in the White House, that is exactly what we will do. All of you know that workers have foregone wage increases and other benefits in order to get halfway decent pensions, and you also know that there has been a war in recent years against those pensions. And today, there are workers out there in multi-employer plans who face 40, 50% cuts in their pensions. We will not allow that to happen. If a worker is promised a pension, that worker will get that pension. And let me also tell you, and you are the last person on earth that I have to say this to, is that the future of the American middle class depends upon our ability to grow the trade union movement in this country. When Donald Trump appoints some of the most anti-union members to the National Labor Relations Board, make no mistake, but that Trump and his friends are waging a war on workers. When billionaires spend millions of dollars successfully lobbying for so-called right-to-work laws, they are waging a war on American workers. When companies threaten to shut down factories and businesses in America if their workers vote to form a union, they are waging war on American workers. Brothers and sisters, the reason why Trump and his billionaire friends are waging a war on the trade union movement is quite simple. In America today, union members earn 22% more on average than non-union workers. In America today, 72% of union workers have a defined benefit pension plan that guarantees an income in retirement compared to just 14% of non-union workers. The trade union movement today is the last line of defense against the greed of the billionaire class, and that is why we're going to grow the trade union movement. You're it. You are it. Trade union movement is the only and strongest body standing in resistance to the greed of corporate America who want it all. They want the power to shut down every plant in America that they can and move to low-wage countries. They want to lower health care benefits. They want to lower wages. And standing in their way is the trade union movement of this country, and together we're going to grow that movement. Now, some of you may have read that just last week we issued the strongest, most comprehensive pro-union program in the history of this country. And our goal is ambitious. Our goal understands that there are millions of workers in this country who want to join a union, but because of the current rules and conditions, they are unable to do so. And we're going to change that. Our goal is, and it's an ambitious goal, is that in the first 4 years of a Sanders administration, we are going to double the number of workers in unions in America. Under this plan, under our plan, if a majority of workers in a bargaining unit sign a card saying they want to belong to a union, they will have a union. And if, as is the case right now, employers, bosses refuse to negotiate in good faith a first contract, we will impose strong penalties on those companies. Under our plan, we will end Section 14B of the Taft-Hartley Act and do away with states that have right to work legislation. Under our plan, we will never allow a company like Wabtec to abrogate an existing union contract during a merger or a hostile takeover. We will require companies that merge to honor union contracts. Under our plan, companies, and this is a big deal, will no longer be able to ruthlessly exploit workers by misclassifying them as independent contractors or deny them overtime by falsely calling them a supervisor. Under our plan, every union worker in America will have the right to strike. And we will ban the replacement of striking workers once and for all. Maybe the most important thing that we can do is to tell corporate America that if they think they're going to shut down profitable plants in America and move to Mexico or China, if they think they're going to engage in anti-union activity, if they think they are going to force workers to give back the health care benefits that they want, if they think they're going to do all of that and then get online for a federal contract, they got another thing coming. It is simply unfair that you got one company over here that is trying to do the right thing by its workers, treats its workers with respect, pays them decent wages, decent benefits. And you got another company over here who forces concessions from workers, moves abroad, and this company thinks it's going to get to the head of the line to get a federal contract. That will change. We demand that corporations in this country treat their working people with respect and dignity. That's what the taxpayers of this country want. And not only are we going to rebuild the trade union movement, because we know the future of the middle class is dependent upon a strong trade union movement, we're going to change the way that politics is done in America. I happen to be maybe old-fashioned about this. I happen to believe that what democracy is about is one person, one vote. You get a vote, and you get a vote. Sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But what politics in America cannot be about are billionaires buying elections. And that is why we will overturn Citizens United Supreme Court decision. And that is why we are going to end voter suppression in this country. It's a funny thing. You know, I've been in many elections. It has never ever occurred to me to figure out a way how I can keep people who might be voting against me from participating in the political process. I have the confidence that my ideas will carry the day. So I say to all of those cowardly Republican governors all over this country, if you cannot participate in free, fair, and open elections, get the hell out of politics and get another job. Brothers and sisters, we are in a pivotal moment in American history. We have a president who is not only a pathological liar, but we have a president who is doing something that no president in my lifetime has ever done. And that is very intentionally trying to divide the American people up based on the color of our skin, based on where we were born, based on our religion, based on our sexual orientation, based on our gender. And Trump thinks that he is going to win re-election by doing that. Well, we got some bad news for Trump. We know that when we bring our people together, black and white and Latino, Native American, Asian American, when we bring our people together, native born and immigrants, gay and straight, when we bring our people together around a progressive agenda that works for the working families of this country, nothing will stop us from securing victory. Brothers and sisters, Nelson Mandela made a statement which kind of resonates with me more and more every day. And that is, he said, and I quote, "Everything is impossible until it is done." Got it? Everything is impossible until it is done. And what that means is that today we are told that our vision for the future of America is impossible. It's too radical. It can't be done until it is done. 4 years ago, I was told when I came here to Pennsylvania to campaign that it is impossible to think about more than doubling the federal minimum wage and raising that minimum wage to $15 an hour. Too radical, I was told. Well, since then, 7 states have passed the $15 an hour minimum wage. And so has the United States House of Representatives. 4 years ago, I was told that it was too radical to suggest that we should make public colleges and universities and trade schools tuition free. And yet all over the country, that is exactly what is happening today. 4 years ago, I was told that it was too wild an idea to suggest that health care is a human right, and yet today, poll after poll shows the American people support a Medicare for all single-payer program. So here is my point. The establishment fights us every single day in many, many ways, but the most insidious way is when they belittle our possibilities for the future. That is the most insidious attack against us. They say, think small, not big. You can't accomplish very much in your lifetime. Well, let me suggest the opposite. This is the wealthiest country in the history of the world. We will join every other nation on earth, major country on earth, and guarantee health care to all people as a human right. We will make certain that our children, from year 1 through graduate school, get all of the education they need to fulfill their dreams, regardless of their income. We will make sure that every worker in America earns a decent wage, not a starvation wage. We will lead the world and create millions of jobs by transforming our energy system away from fossil fuel, by combating climate change. And when we do that, we're going to create a whole lot of very good jobs. We will lead in this country in transforming our very broken criminal justice system and our broken immigration system. And we will make sure that every woman in this country has the right to control her own body and not politics. Let me conclude by saying this. The message of our campaign is us, not me. And that sounds like a good bumper sticker, which it is. But it is more than that, because it makes two very profound points. Number one, us, not me, means that we are in it together. That my family and my wife, Jane, and our 4 kids, our job as Americans is to be concerned about your family and your family and your family, and your job is to be concerned about my family and my 4 kids and my 7 grandchildren. That means we are in this together. But the second point, which the UE understands, but not a lot of Americans do understand, is that no president, not Bernie Sanders or anybody else, no president, no matter how well-intentioned he or she may be, can do it alone. Why not? Why can't a president just go in and do A, B, C, D, all of the great things we want to do? Because you know and I know what the power structure of America is about. You know that in Wall Street, you got a half a dozen banks that have assets equivalent to 50% of the GDP in America, over $10 trillion, half a dozen banks. You know the power of the insurance industry and the drug companies who made $100 billion last year alone. You know the power of the fossil fuel industry. You know the power of the corporate elite and the enormous influence they have over the media, over Congress and state governments, and over the political process with their campaign contributions. That's what we're up against. So today I am asking for your help to help me win the Democratic primary here in Pennsylvania and in other states. I am asking for your help to win the Democratic nomination. I am asking for your help to defeat Donald Trump. But I am asking something even more. I am asking that the day after we are inaugurated, that I will need your help again to help me stand up to the power of the corporate elite, help me grow the trade union movement, help me develop an unprecedented grassroots movement of millions of Americans who are prepared to stand up to the large corporations of this country and to say loudly and clearly that in this country we will create a government and an economy based on the principles of justice, economic justice, social justice, racial justice, environmental justice. sisters, this campaign is not just about us. It is about our kids. It is about future generations. It is about whether we will have a vibrant democracy or move into an authoritarian type society. It is about whether we will continue to engage in endless wars. It is about whether we save this planet and make it healthy and habitable for our kids and future generations. Brothers and sisters, this is an unprecedented moment in American history. We are in a struggle for the future of this country. It is a fight that we cannot and will not lose. Thank you all very much.
Don't bum rush the stage to get pictures with Bernie, because he's got to go to South Carolina. Sister Sanders, come on. So I like Bernie's chief advisor happens to be his spouse, Jane Sanders. So we had a little discussion today, earlier this morning, while you were probably having coffee, probably already working. You've probably been up since 4. And we had a little discussion about our independent rank and file political action resolution. We went through it. We got some swag out there you can take with you if you want. But I figure our biggest gift to you is to, number one, hand this resolution to you. And we discussed the resolution, and people asked that there be a special order of business before this convention. A motion would be in order to endorse the candidacy of Bernie Sanders for President of the United States. Is there a second? Second! All those in favor say aye. Aye! Approved!
Brothers and sisters, this means a lot to me. I want to thank you very much. We have an enormous struggle in front of us, but I am confident that with you at my side, we're going to win that struggle. Thank you all.